So this is going to be a replay review. I actually have our player voice in here to watch and ask questions as we go. Silver won against the gold HRE player. What do you know about HRE when you hop into this game?
So not much. It's only been 2 weeks since I started playing this game. No experience RTS games. So the only thing I knew is like HRE wants some relics because they generate gold.
Mhm.
So I probably should contest those, and they have really strong man at arms.
Yep,
Pretty much that's all I knew.
both those things are correct. Um, hey, I mean, for 2 weeks in, no RTS experience, Silver won is great. So you're doing well so far. Um, yeah, the key with English against HRE is that you want to stop them from just going fast castle. Do you know what I mean when I say fast castle?
Yeah,
Okay,
I watched enough of content.
okay. I I I, I assume you watch some to be able to play, but I don't want to assume any knowledge. Um, so your best way to do that is to either longbow rush, or you could do the king opening and try to run up to the king. The problem with the king opening is that HRE will most likely be able to age up. Um, and then your question is, can you punish them before their relics come online? By I mean come online, I mean they gather them and then the gold really starts going. And can you punish them in castle before they're able to take advantage of that? Um, so let's see how you played this out, and I'll be commenting on. I mean, a lot of times at someone at your rank, so like bronze, silver, gold, a lot of the game is decided in the first 10 to 15 minutes. Decisions we make, the actions we take, because oftentimes we make mistakes early on that kind of set us up for a longer game. Um, which isn't to say you shouldn't have you need to win in the first 15 minutes, but often the things we decide to do early on very much define what ends up happening. So I'm guessing you watched the build order opening, so you know how to do the opening.
Yeah, I'll be going the archers here, not the king.
Archers? Yep.
Yeah, so I just do not fully remember if it works out.
Yep.
I do remember some early pressure, but I don't know if it was early
Okay.
enough.
And a lot of
That
this
was the
pressure is
issue.
going to depend on your timing of your age up. If you're going to be the aggressive civ, getting the age up as quick and as efficiently as possible is key. Second, it's going to be, did you attack at the right spot at the right time? So already a small thing, make sure your TC is rallied to the resource. So for example,
Yeah.
when the villager popped out, he was standing still. That's because you haven't rallied the TC. So if you're gonna go gold, rally to the gold, so that they start walking there, and then you can grab them while they're walking and build the house and build the mining camp. It seems small, but what that helps to make sure is that if for some reason you're not looking at your base when the villager pops out, they're not doing anything. You want them to always be doing something. Small thing. But I can tell your TC isn't rallied, which means every time a villager pops out, you need to catch them. And now you do it. Okay. Just make sure you do that from the jump.
Yeah.
Scouting pattern. So something you can do against fast castle civs like HRE. So I was to say fast castle civs. You have HRE, Japan, Ayubid, Order of the Dragon. Those are all civs that love to fast castle for various reasons. And one thing you can actually do is open double scout. What I see people do is if they're in their mind, they go, I know I want to push them. You go double scout. And the reason you go double scout is because the less sheep they have, the more in danger they are. If you think about it, if he runs out of sheep, even if he fast castles and he has no food, he's in a really rough spot. So sometimes it will delay your age up a little bit. You need to go more on food. But if you went second scout, your second scout can then go this way and start getting these sheep. And then if he's has less sheep, it just puts him in a worse spot castle wise. So it's just something to consider. But if you don't feel comfortable going two scouts, no big deal. Now, when it comes to your resources, I'm a little nervous about you running out of sheep yourself. So yep, we need to come back at this point. Um, One thing I would have liked, which is small, but when you'd gone this way, is to cut back and clear out this whole side, just because you want to know all the resources you have. At the same time, though, you're getting a lot of sheep, so I can't complain too much. But you did notice two things immediately. You notice where his gold is and where his initial berries are. This is really, really important, because this is the spot you're going to attack. Second,
Yeah.
once you know, okay, here's his gold, you need to identify where his next golds are, his backup golds. So a key part of scouting is scouting around his entire base, because he has a gold up here, and then there's a gold back here. And so the key part is going to be, once you push him off this initial gold, not letting him get to any of the other golds. Because if you cut him off completely from gold, he basically doesn't have to do anything, even if he gets the castle. So age up, good villager splits. You're rallying to wood, which is good because you need to make sure you can make units straight out of the gate. Once again, small thing. We're rallying to nothing.
Yeah, here definitely. I should have put it already on the tree.
Yes, and what you can do, if I'm doing stragglers, is that I'll click and then I'll hold shift and right click on the next 2 trees. And what that's telling them is when they're done, they should just go to the next one and the next one. And this makes it so if something happens, once again, I'm not paying attention. Sometimes if they finish a tree, they will just stop if they're not close enough to the next one, or they will go to a completely dumb tree. So they'll walk like over here for some reason. So as much as possible, pre-queue the next if they're on the stragglers. If they're on the wood line itself, it's fine. They're not going to make a mistake on that. But on these stragglers, I would pre-click just to make sure you don't miss on eco there. Drop off the sheep. See, look how long this guy stood here. And now you're making a farm, which is fine. But he stood there for so long.
Yeah, I should instantly been rallying it or making the farm.
Exactly. Second, to open with spears or not to open with spears. You are perfectly fine going pure longbow. The thing you're going to run into is if he decides to make horsemen and he can make a lot of them, you might be in a bad spot. So one thing that's really key is being near the opponent's base when you're sending units over. And this is why I would have liked you to change your scouting pattern. Right now, I would want you to be walking towards his base right now because you want to know the opening moves. If he's opening by dropping a stable, you want to immediately drop a barracks. And you know not to send your longbows forward because he's going to have a horseman ready for them.
Yeah.
And instead, you're kind of back here and you don't have that information. So when in the initial scout, I would like you to come up here and circled back, dropped off, gone over here, and you would have still probably gotten some sheep. And then you're coming up to here right when you're aging up. So you can see his opening moves. And then if you have a lot of sheep, you can run back and drop them off. Or if you don't have a lot of sheep, you can just stay there and wait for your units. But to me, you want to be there as the age up is hitting. And if your goal is to make these farms, just keep rallying to the sheep and then just pull them one by one off the sheep. You also want to make the mill already because the mill is what boosts your farming eco. Do you use hotkeys for your military buildings?
Not yet. So I'm implementing one by one. Right now, started how to say, at first, obviously, as I said, no experience in RTS, so like not really much into hotkeys. But I first started with simple ones. So like, it was H for like. Going home, queuing with Q the villagers, then I used a separate key for scouts. Now I'm doing some economic buildings with houses, farms, and so on. I have some hotkeys where I should rally, where I should select, for example, all archeries, all military buildings, and so on, so I can rally the troops. But that's that. Still don't have it fully polished, but yeah, every day I try to learn at least one extra hotkey.
Okay. So my suggestion is I do I keep my basically the hotkey that is cycle through TCs, I keep it on the side of my mouse. So I can be anywhere I need to and cycle back and queue up more villagers. In practice, especially at this level, when the stakes are a little bit lower, practice using Q to queue your villagers, W to make scouts, Q to make your units. So I always do TC on the side of my mouse, so I know a lot of people use H, and that's fine. Scout should be on 1, of course, and this is what it should allow you to do. You can bounce, if you double click on a hotkey, it sends it to it. So I can come back and queue villagers, pop back and still do my scout. I put all of my military production on 3 or 4, depending on how many control groups I need. What this allows me to do is, if I'm scouting up here and I see where I need to send my units, I can click 4 once, so I have my production, right-click to send them, and then I can just hit Q to bring my longbows.
Yeah.
So, a big part of this level, Royce, is just making units consistently. Making villagers consistently, making units consistently. I'm guessing while watching this, there's going to be times when you're fighting and you stop queuing units and you're going to save up a lot of resources. And that's really, really key. A lot of times it's just who is able to continuously make units is going to come out on top here. So I would highly suggest you really work on hotkey usage to try to make units consistently. Second, and this is why we really want scouting up here. I would have wanted you to rally the longbows forward so they're already going across. Because they're so slow. And you want to get them there to catch... Like, for example, let's look at him right now. He has no military. Only thing he's done is set this tower. So these first longbows could already be here. By the time the tower is up, you'll be here. And the beauty of your longbows is one tower doesn't stop them. Your range as a longbow is farther than his range of a tower. Especially because he didn't gather any stone to upgrade the tower. This is just a neutral tower. So you can sit here with longbows and shoot and pick his villagers. And if your scout's here, you can do the same with his wood villagers. In fact, if you rallied your longbows forward, you could potentially stop him from walling back here, which allows you to walk around to the back and shoot his wood villagers. The much as possible, you want to create this feeling like he has nowhere to go. And those first few longbows can really set the stage for that. Because what he's done is, he's been inefficient with his macro. He should build a stable right now. Or he should have 2 outposts. But he doesn't. He has 1, and he's late on making it. So you need to be already there to take advantage of how slow he is. But you're not. You've already rallied your first 3 longbows here, and they're not doing anything. So you're actually giving him time and space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was myself caught a bit off guard when I saw there's no stables.
But see,
it
but
was way
remember,
too late already.
yeah. But what you just said some things that really matter. I was a bit off guard. It was too late. You didn't have to be that way. If your scout had been here right when he aged up, you'd see, oh, there's no stables. I can just go for it. You know what I mean? That's the power of scouting and scouting at the right time. 2, you notice how much gold you're getting? It's fine to have 3 villagers on wood. This is why we really need a mill, because you really want your economic upgrades. You want to get double rod axe, and you want to get wheelbarrow, which will really, really help your eco. Okay, let's see what you do after this. So now you're sending a scout over here, which is, it's too late. We need to be attacking. When it comes to a fast castle civ, you need to be there right now. Because look at his resources right up here. He's already halfway to castle. And you're not taking advantage of your build speed, because your council hall makes longbows even faster, which means you can just outproduce him on almost anything early on. So you should be there attacking him when you're not. And really, the beautiful thing about this fast castle that he's doing is you could come here. He has no units, so you just drop 1 ram. So you make a blacksmith, research the engineering, like get that first, and just drop a ram and go. Because he has no units to stop it. If he tries to burn the ram, your longbows kill it. So this is what we call a naked fast castle, where he's trying to get the castle without making units. And he should not be allowed to do it. Your 7 longbows could be killing his villagers like crazy right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is there, I understood. Even after game, I've checked myself. I was like, okay, I should have scouted and seen that he has no troops. Like, this was a feast for me, basically.
Yes. And the adjustment then needs to be more so on my scouting pattern than anything else at this moment. But also, you should have just tried. Like, there wasn't even an attempt. At least when you had 5 longbows, you should have gone for it then. Because even if you had like 1 horseman, 5 longbows can hold against a horseman. You could use your palings, like you had options. You just didn't go at all. And what's a big issue with this level of game of the players is people are super passive. They're going to play very scared. They're going to stay super far back. And also, if you're going to make pure longbows like this, you should be heavier on wood. Because longbows cost more wood than food. So he just ran out of berries. He just started his age up. Just waiting for spearmen. I'm just going to remind you once again, make sure you rally to a resource. Rally to a resource. He ages up, so what do? 1, it sucks. It sucks. He aged up for free. Here's what you can't do. At this point, you actually can't run to his base. Because he's going to insta-drop a stable. He's going to start making... Well, he's making horsemen, but he could be making knights. And you don't have the spearmen for knights. Now, if you had been standing here when he aged up, You could have just walked in and started killing villagers. Like, even if he started making knights, you're just, like, running in to just kill as many villagers as possible. Against HRE and against most fast castle civs, there's two things you need to do now at this point. Okay. First, you need a wall. You need to pull these villagers and wall here to here. You want to pull villagers and wall here to here. And basically create a cocoon, because the thing that he has to do now against you is do damage. He needs to slow you down. He needs to in some way make his fast castle pay off. One, so he's gonna try to raid you. So wall.
Yeah.
Two, get off of wood and get onto food. Because at this point you need to get to castle yourself. So I would have pulled half my villagers off wood and put them on sheep, and start adding more farms. Because for you especially, you have the white tower, so you can drop the white tower and that protects you completely. So you just need to get to castle and drop the white tower. So the big two defensive thing, the big two things at home is wall and then get onto food and some gold. When it comes to the units you do have, what I suggest is that you have scouted the map pretty well, so you know where the relics are. This one's gone. He's gonna get that one. But I would have taken like 3 longbows and sent them here, 3 longbows and sent them here, 3 longbows and sent them here. So that if he tries to just send his monk without protection, you kill the monk. And that slows, or this prelate, and that slows everything down for him. Like, the goal is right now is you're just trying to prevent him from getting that gold for as long as possible. He will still probably get the relics once he starts making units, but you want to make the initial walkout for them painful. And then I'd keep the spears at home in case some knights run in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Like, once he aged up, I kind of panicked because I realized, okay, if he aged up now, he 100% doesn't have any troops.
Sure.
And yeah, but I failed to scout it, so I was like, ah, shit. Okay, maybe I just attempt and see. Maybe he's worse than I think he is.
Yeah, and that's a strong understanding of the game, is that if he castled that fast, he can't have units. Now, and that's why a lot of the times, if people are making units and someone ages up, they rush, because the idea is I need to do damage. The problem is you have a very slow comp. So, by the time you got there, you could do damage, but if he made like 5 knights, he runs through everything you have here, especially if no military upgrades. And so this is just, he's moved too slow. I mean, that's just what it was. So I'd finish the spears you made, wall up, rush castle yourself, and then try to delay the relics. Instead, I think you're gonna go try to push. Yeah. Okay. They're gonna go push.
Yeah.
You got your arrow attack. That's great. Now he's made only horsemen, which is awesome for you. So he hasn't even made like a good unit. He's still not making knights. So he's instantly going to farm transition. So you do have space here. In fact, if you had kept making units, you might have been okay here. Like if you had just kept sending archers and spearmen forward. Once again, it's scouting, but once I saw that, I would have felt a lot better, because I would have known, okay, he has no knights yet, he has no men at arms. So, once again, you have so much wood, I would have pulled half my wood village and started making farms, and I'm rushing castle while trying to keep pressure.
Yeah.
So I would have walked up, poke, beautiful, poke, beautiful, poke, beautiful. What you need to do is have your scout use the camp right here. That gives you vision. And then you could have stood here and he can't get this tower up. He can't get this tower. Don't let him get the tower up. No! So you just walked away. Like, you should have killed, like half these villagers at least.
Yeah.
You got away with it. Use your unit's ability. So in this case, the campfire gives the line of sight. You want to drop that on next to wood lines, and you could have killed these villagers and been okay. Like, what was the circle for? That's why I'm confused. Like, you walked back and came back up to the same spot. Like, you were already there.
This was a bit of a panic. I thought, okay, he has more troops. I was like, okay.
So you overassumed.
Lose the army here.
You overassumed.
Yeah, exactly.
But you saw what he had. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to keep all his military back here. If he had a military, he would have attacked already. He would have been running at you.
Yeah, like, definitely this was the wrong idea. But just in my head, like, I was like, oh shit, what do I do? Okay, I can't lose this army. If I lose this, I can't age up for sure.
Yeah.
So I go for a bit faster age up here by assigning gates, and I'll just try to, let's say, calm the game a bit down.
Yeah. Well, and so what you notice here is that, so now he's switching into men at arms, and so now it's a little bit more dangerous. I really wish you would have cut off, like you know he's going for relics, but now you have horsemen. Once again, spearmen do fine against this. You're in a great spot. You're aging up. All you really got to do now, and look at all this military you have here. Like, you just walked forward with this, you'd be in a great spot. So at this point, you need to stop making longbowmen. You need to immediately make crossbows. So I would have upgraded my veteran archers, because you have a lot of them. Out of my white tower, I would have started just making men-at-arms. Because you need some sort of front line, so you want to upgrade your men-at-arms, you want to upgrade your longbows, and then you want to make crossbows. And because you know what he's going to make. He's going to make men-at-arms. Like, that's what all HRE players do. So you need to get ready to counter that. I would have dropped another barracks and another archery range, because your eco is growing to the point that you need more production. Having one barracks and one council. Look how many you're queuing up.
Yeah.
Like, you could be making way more, way faster. So, key thing, as I said, often these games are won by who continuously makes units. It's also by who makes more production. So, a big thing is just adding production and using that is going to be really important for you. Go for more wood, but like you haven't spent your wood, so you notice like you're now super heavy on wood, but we don't need to be on wood. You have enough.
Yeah.
So there's a process you need to be doing whenever you have free time. So like in this moment, right? You just aged up. You're moving your army back. Look at your resources and ask, how am I making villagers? Yes. Am I making units? No. Be making units out of everything. Get your upgrades.
Yeah.
And then ask yourself, how's my eco? And you can look and you'd save a lot of extra wood. And you want to use that wood. Okay, I'm going to make more farms. Okay, I'm going to make more production. And once you actually take time to look at your resources, you then realize you need to use them. And you need to ask, what am I trying to do? Well, I'm trying to make crossbowmen and men-at-arms. Oh, crossbowmen cost food and gold. So I actually don't need that much on wood anymore. I only need 12. So I can make farms. I need way more on food and gold, and then you adjust that. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it becomes about looking and asking, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to make? What do I have a lot of? And adjusting your villagers and making the things you need to make. So in this case, if you just mass men-at-arms and crossbows, you'll be in a pretty good spot. And that's what I mean about the first 15 minutes. In the first 15 minutes, we had a feudal pressure that didn't quite get there. We didn't deny the relics. And we didn't have enough production. And those decisions are now putting you in a worse spot. You still can very much win this. I think it's important to deny this relic, and you want to get units over to this one too, so he doesn't snatch it. So we have units.
Yeah.
Get your arrow attack upgrade, and you want to get your melee defense upgrade because he's going to be pure melee. But see, look how much you just cleaned house right there. Now, the thing about HRE players, their goal is, if they hit castle and they get relics, the next thing is, can they get to Imperial without being attacked? Because Imperial for them is pretty cheap. So if you look at his resources,
Yeah.
he's definitely going to try to rush it. And so you have a lot of units. He's trying to get upgrades right now, which he has some. But this is the moment where you just have to for HRE uniquely, it's time to go. Like, you need to go put pressure, see what you can do, and see what damage you can do. And also, once again, spend your resources. You have 2,000 wood. You should be dropping a shit ton of farms and making way more production and just going for it. And a big thing I'm going to push for you to do, which I push anyone at this level, is just to be aggressive. Be aggressive to the point that it feels uncomfortable, because you're like, well, I don't want to lose my military. But more often than not, your aggression will work out because your opponent is almost always going to be very passive. 2 relics, great. I would have then sent these monks out to just get these sacred sites and see if you can cap them. But now you're making spears. So, like, why are we making spears? You know what I mean?
Just because I assumed he'll continue with the horses, yeah.
But even then, you know what will kill the horses? Men-at-arms. If you get enough, you have 35 longbows. At that point, horsemen struggle. Like, he would need 50 horsemen to feel like, not 50, but like 45 horsemen to feel comfortable here. But she just doesn't have the resources to do that. So, once again, don't over-assume. Play for the comp that's safer, which is men-at-arms and crossbows. Now, if he ends up going mass knights, then you can go spears. But men-at-arms will do plenty of work. And once again, look how many you have queued.
Yeah.
Same, and now you're spreading the love, but it's like, this just means you could have, like, you have 3 barracks, have 8 barracks. Like, honestly, at the 20-minute mark, you will often see high-level players have quadruple the production you have.
Okay.
Because the goal is, as much as possible, to never have to wait on a unit. Right now, you are waiting on 13 spearmen that if you had 13 production buildings, you'd get right now. And how much stronger is your military at that point? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like if it was instantaneous, almost, I could maybe even finish the game here.
And that's also the key about English is that since you're so heavy on wood, you can quickly add production, add farms, and then you have a self-sustaining, like you have an army that never stops. You can just
Yeah.
make non-stop men at arms because you have the food from farms, you have a little bit of gold, and you just go insane amount of men at arms and crossbows, and they can't stop you. That's the game plan. And then you're making the crossbows, which is great. I mean, the crossbows, the trebuchets, which is great. You want to drop that tower closer, and I would have pulled like 6 villagers to make the tower, but now he's Imperial, and at this point, you kind of have to push.
Yeah, it's what happens.
And because he's gonna have Swabia, if you let him sit, he's gonna have way better eco than you, so you have to go. Now I would have liked if you made those rams here, because it's gonna take them so long. So you wanna, if you're gonna do this push, set up outside his base so you're not waiting on the rams to slowly trickle their way forward. Second, you're actually closer to Imperial yourself. So you could have actually just gone to gold, saved, and rushed Imperial. I would have put the Berkshire on a resource that's really important. So for example, this gold over here.
I put it in the middle next
No.
to the gold and stone. Yeah, pretty much here, so it covered some of the
Yeah,
forest.
but it's like
gold.
a 4,000 gold. Like
Yeah.
8,000 gold. Like putting it
Yeah,
here is great because then you get the stone and that big ass gold.
Yeah, I didn't put it purely on like gold, but more specifically, I wanted to push from here. So I was like, okay, I'll just all in, put Berkshire here, put some production run around, and just try to push from here. And
That makes sense.
Just late, just gave up because I realized, okay, my siege is not working, and I mean, I can like. At age 4, I have passive gold right from farms.
Yep.
From the upgrade. I can keep making the units that will counter his units, but he can does the same. And I realized, okay, it's 30 plus minutes. I just surrender because there's nothing to learn from.
Yeah. The key here is one, you need like 60 farms.
Yeah.
And you need like 30 barracks, and then and 15 archery ranges, and then like Imperial, you have to mega size it so much. Like you just have to be like everything times 5.
Yeah.
And then you want to get stone for keeps and walls. The goal is that you like stone wall to reduce the attacking spot to 1, and then you use keeps and towers to walk your way up as English. That's how you win in Imperial. It's all about using your attack speed bonuses because you want this upgrade. The network of citadels is so important.
Yeah.
And then you just go mass men at arms, hand cannoneers with the attack speed is huge. Yeah, and I see what you're doing here, but like, yes, you cover this central area and he can't walk in, but he could easily come any of these other sides and it doesn't matter. That's why it's better to use the Berkshire as more of a defense of a really important resource spot. So like here, because you could then get like far into the future, this could be where you set up trade, but this protects a huge goal. This protects a lot of extra food. You could drop a TC by it too, which if you're gonna go against Atri Imperial, dropping another TC or 2 is really important because you need more vills. Let's see how this push goes. So you notice you're doing longbows and spears against men at arms. You're doing 0 damage right now. Like
Yeah.
So you never made the counter unit. Like you made the counter unit for the unit you saw first, but never what you know Atri is gonna make. Opponents are almost always gonna make heavy units in Castle and Imperial. Okay, so we age up. Age up, getting the production up. That's great. Really, the thing that's going to hurt you is eco. You're at 68.
Yeah,
He's at 95.
So obviously, so.
which is like at this point you have to play actually delay. Like you need to put up walls and then just send groups of units to different spots and slow him down and get your eco up and then attack. Like it's a whole thing. So I get what you mean. Because really this game should not have gone this far.
Yeah, exactly. I fucked up. I realized it, but then I realized, okay, there's no point even for me to try to win anymore because the other player is playing so bad. I will not learn from this.
Well, I mean,
he should have punished me for the mistakes I did, like the archers, the very
He just
late,
played super passive. Like, yes,
Yeah.
he could have ran, 15-minute arms over here and into your eco, and then you're done. But I think the big things to get from this is, one, your early scouting is very, very, very important. So make sure. I'm sorry for yawning. I need another cup of coffee. So it's really important to make sure you are scouting in a way that sets you up for success, which means you're looking at what your opponent's doing as they're aging up, which allows you to adjust your plan. You then be aggressive on the fast castle civs like HRE and use your scout and their abilities to get points of attack. You then want to get a blacksmith immediately, get rams, just go for it, so that they can't fast castle. A lot of your instincts are good. You got like the relics. You understood that I needed to push. You understand the things that are happening in general. You're just not taking a moment to ask yourself, what should I do here, and adjusting. You're doing a lot of assuming instead of using scouting and pressure to understand what's actually happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
And then once again, make sure you're using your resources. So 1, rally villagers to resources always. 2, look at your resources and ask, what do I need? If you have a lot of food, it means you don't have production. If you have a lot of wood, it means you need to make farms, make production, things like that. If you have a lot of gold, it means you're not making units or getting upgrades. So just use your resources, ask what I'm trying to do, and then adjust. And it should go better for you.